Let me explain something to you right quick that I need you to understand about what we going through right now. And I want you to understand what's the difference in what we going through now and what we went through in 2008. There are similarities, but there's different. I want you to understand that Mark Twain said it, the future doesn't always look the same, but it always rhymes. I want to show you something that's real serious. 2008, watch this. It was a what? Credit crisis. What made it a credit crisis? I'm going to say predatory loans. And then I'm going to say this too, unstable credit issues, meaning people who didn't deserve to get credit was getting credit. So this was the reason for 2008. Credit crisis is what happens, right? Predatory loans, this is one thing. Number one, predatory loans, people were getting loans with outrageous, egregious loan rates, right? Meaning instead of paying 3%, 4%, people were paying 40, 35%, 16, just egregious rates on loans. That's one. Two, unstable credit issues, meaning people were getting credit that they shouldn't have been getting. What happens when people get credit that they shouldn't be getting? They misuse it. So when people misuse the credit got to be paid back. But what happens? The people can't pay the credit back. And then number three, subprime mortgage. So these are the three culprits of 2008. Subprime mortgages, meaning people were getting homes that couldn't afford them. So that's the difference between predatory and subprime. Predatory means, let's say you getting a home, instead of the home having 4% interest on the rate of the loan, it's 35%. This happening. This is one of the reasons. Subprime means you making $30,000 a year, but they're giving you a $200,000 home. You don't supposed to be getting it. But then what happens is everybody was passing the loans to each other, writing them off as grade A loans. If you want to go see it, go look at The Fall of Lehman Brothers on Amazon. It's love. It's love. So this 2008. So watch this. So write this down. Predatory loans, unstable credit issues, subprime mortgages. Let's look at that. All right, so watch that. Okay, now watch this. The thing about this is, it's good, y'all, because we're going to talk about this tonight. The reason why that's important is because that affected big banks. Big banks. That affected big banks. But remember what I talked about was what? Also, we talked about what else? Credit issuances, right? Also, car industry. That's what people don't talk about. Watch this. How come in the 2008 financial crash, subprime mortgages was a thing, but yet we had to bail out the banks in the car industry? Because no one buys cars all cash. That's a rare issuance. It's a rare issuance. So majority of the manufacturers from the cars have to be paid from here. Okay, we digging deeper right here. Watch this, y'all. It's some game. So now we breaking down something that nobody ain't ever talked about. Ooh, let me see it in the chat. We talk about something we ain't talking about. Watch this. Part of the car note is I'm gonna just do it like this. Cost of the good. Part of the car note is the cost of the good, meaning how much does it cost to manufacture the car? We got that part, right? But there's inflation on that. Why is there inflation on that? Because the cost of the car includes the car, labor, shipping, and consignment. Let's talk about it. The cost of the car is the car, labor, shipping, and the consignment cost. So what happens is you can't buy that car up front. Watch this. You paying for the car up front actually costs the dealer money. You paying for the car up front, also the cost of the transaction now loses value. The goal is for you to pay the interest over the 3 to 5 years. Buying a car up front, actually, it ain't no good. So, because the loans, watch this, y'all. Yo, this is good. We just breaking down what happened. So the banks needed bailout and car manufacturers needed bailout, right? Remember that. They needed bailout. They needed bailout. Everybody needed, because they were all tied into this part of it, credit issuance. So the banks had a big part to play in that, giving people loans they didn't need. All that was part to play in that. This is why 2008 was bad. Okay, cool, we got that.
What's good, trappers, man? It's your boy, the Wall Street Trapper. Right now, I want to invite you to an amazing experience full of value. That is my community, Trappers Anonymous. It's 100% the greatest fundamental investing community on the market. Listen, your portfolio should be a masterpiece. And the only way we get you there is if we help you to learn how to invest with confidence. Now listen, I get it. Like, you don't know a lot about stocks, or maybe you've heard people say how much money they lost in stocks, but I can guarantee you, one, because they weren't in the community, and two, they lack the information. Our goal in Trappers Anonymous is to help you, really to hold your hand on the journey to becoming a confident investor, learning how to navigate through the different events that the stock market goes through, to take you from panic to encouragement. There's no better time than now. This is an opportunity only for those who are willing to be on the journey. So listen, man, click the link below. Come join me in Trappers Anonymous, man. I will see you in one of our many classes, whether it's Moat Monday, whether it's the 2-hour class we do on Sunday, or whether it's just a book club. Everything is geared toward making you a better investor so you can triple your net worth and turn your last name to an asset. It's your boy, Wall Street Trapper. See you in the trap.
2023, what's the problem here? Interest rates. Trap, why is interest rates a problem here? Why in 2023 is interest rates a problem? This is why the big banks not tripping. They're like, yo, this don't got nothing to do with us. The big banks like, yo, we don't got nothing to do with this. This ain't on us. It's on the little banks. Here's why. Small banks now do majority of the lending to people. All right, and tonight we're gonna talk about this. Watch this. Here's what happens. JP Morgan, Citibank, Bank of America, big money, big loans. Regional banks, credit unions, homes, small business, loans. We're gonna put personal, credit cards. This will do majority of the lending in the hood. This will do majority of the lending. Now watch this. They lend out more money because they lending out more money in what? Bulk. But they touch more people. The reason why I'm telling you this is because I need you to understand what's going on. The better you can understand what's going on, the better you now can learn how to do what I want to talk about, is navigate and pivot. It's important for Trappin' Tuesdays because I need you. What's my favorite saying, y'all? I need you to be what? In position. The goal is for us to be in position. So do me a favor and share this out. All right, so why is it pressure here, Trap? Okay, cool. Watch this. Small banks aggressively lend, but they're lending. Remember, we went through 13 years of free money lending. Interest rates were between 0 to 2.5%. It's easy for me to lend money in that area. It's easy for me to lend money in the 0 and 2.5% interest rate environment. Why? Because I have access to the capital that's free money. What happens is, it's easy to build wealth when it's easy to lend money. It's easy to build wealth in the low interest rate environment. Why? Because it doesn't cost me that much to lend some money. Think for yourself. Would you rather lend some money at 0% or would you rather lend some money at 5%? I would rather lend money at 0%. At 5%, I got to pay a lot of money back, depending on how much I get that. But watch this. The more money I got to pay back, the more possibilities of that money doing what? Defaulting. What we cooking right now. I want to be the lender I want to be the borrower in the 0 interest rate environment. But if I'm lending money in the 5% interest rate, 6% interest rate, what happens is now that money has a bigger rate on it and a bigger possibility of doing what? Defaulting. Defaulting means I, the lender, do what? I do not get paid. The possibilities of me getting my money back is what? Slim to none. This is why we see banks doing what? We said it 3 weeks ago. We saw the big banks doing what? Putting $2 billion on the side for what? Loss aversion. We saw the big banks putting money on the side for what? People that can't pay their loans. That way it don't affect the what? Balance sheet. All right. Ooh, we good right now. We good right now. 2 days, don't trip. All right, so watch this. As interest rates increase, it applies more pressure on not little, but Lil banks. Why? Because now they don't have the capacity to operate. They're over-leveraged. The more you crank, the more you put them.
I'm in a bind, Nate.
The more you crank.
I'm in a bind, Nate.
Some other time.
I don't care. I don't care.
I really need this money, Nate.
I don't care. What really hurts them now is because we in the recessionary environment, because the Fed can crank and crank. And so now when a 0.25% now seems like a whole percent. A 0.25% going from 2.5 to 3 ain't bad. From 3 to 4, you're like, all right. From 4 to 5, it's real. It's real. So we see little banks cracking right now. We see little banks under pressure right now. Watch this. And we're going to show it tonight. We're going to see banks now consolidate. Okay, here's the number. Y'all with me tonight? Right now, there's 4,000 banks in America. 4,000 banks. I can guarantee you, this is a mark my word, I can guarantee you in the next 5 years, we'll have about 2,500 banks. In the next 5 years, we'll have about 2,500 banks because banks now, they're going to be defaulting. Because we got to go through this for about another 18 months, y'all. We got to go through what we're going through right now for like at least another year. And the high interest rates environment puts too much pressure on them. This causes what? The defaulting of banks. Now, let's talk. I'm going to get into the graphic, but now watch this. Remember I said this a couple weeks ago. I said First Republic, they got assets. They just over-leveraged. They got assets. They just over-leveraged. So what happens? Big bank, take little bank. Because watch this. When your bank defaults, when I buy your bank for a little bit of nothing, guess what I get? I get all your assets. I get all your houses that you had. I get all of the mortgages that you had. I get all of the businesses that you had. I get all of the credit card people that you had. And I can get your bad debt for little to nothing. I get all of your good debt, and I gotta take the bad debt, but it's for a little bit of nothing. I can get 90 billion in assets, and I can take 10 billion in debt, but now I can get the 10 billion in debt because I'm buying you out. I get the 10 billion in debt for 3 billion. I get to buy you out for pennies on a dollar. Now, if you don't believe me, go ask, watch this, anybody be mad. Go ask the credit gurus how the credit works when you go to the credit people. The credit gurus always tell you what? Don't pay the credit because they arbitraging the credit for little to nothing. Don't the credit gurus tell you that? The credit gurus tell you what? Don't pay the credit off because your name ain't on the credit, that you ain't got the right address, and they getting rid of the credit for pennies on a dollar. The big banks doing the same thing. The big banks is doing the same thing that the little people do to you when they call you for your credit. The big bank, JP Morgan said, hey, check this out. I'm going to take the 93 billion in assets. Look, you got 10 billion in debt. Check this out. I'm not going to give you 10 billion because you need the cash. I'll give you 3 billion. Take it or leave it. Because you about to default anyway, guess what you in? Survival mode. Guess what you got to do when you're in survival mode? Take whatever they could give you. So over the next 3 to 5 years, You will see 4,000 banks in America go to about 2,500. There's 600 banks on the stock market. It'll probably go to about 250 because the big banks about to come in right now and buy all them little banks for little to no money. So what I'm telling you is something I told you before. When you're looking at these big banks, they will increase in assets. JP Morgan, first quarter, 60 billion in new deposits came to their bank. Let's give you the play. So watch this. Don't go invest in little banks. Do not go invest in little banks. But if you go invest in big banks, watch this. If you go invest in big banks, you want to look at for this. New depositors, net income increase, tangible book value increase, owner equity increase. That's your keys to investing in a big bank.